right, everybody, welcome to One Nation, a Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I'm your host, Kirk DeMars, and welcome to the program tonight. It is November's almost done, folks. It is almost over. You guys have already had the turkey, the ham, the pie, all that kind of stuff, and now it's ready to get ready for Christmas. So I hope you're ready for that. Things are just flying by at the end of 2023. And speaking of flying by, we've got a guest tonight that flies by on the track. So we're going to get to talk to Kayden Clatt tonight. Excited about having him on the program. You're going to learn lots of different things about this young man, and it's just exciting to see all the different things that he is doing right here in mid-Missouri, as well as throughout. I know he's going to be throughout the country. He's got goals of being nationwide, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And just excited to be able to have this young man on tonight. All right, let's go ahead and bring Kayden on here real quick, and let's see how he's doing. How you doing, Kayden?
I'm doing just fine.
All right. Thanks for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you, Kirk, for welcoming us to the program and doing this interview for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You've had a busy year. We'll get into a lot of that here in just a moment, but I want you to go ahead and start off a little bit. First of all, tell everybody how old are you and what grade you're in.
I'm 14 years of age and freshman year at Southern Boone High School.
Okay. So as we move from that starting point right there, we're going to go into this next question. Tell everybody about being the youngest super late model driver right here in Missouri and one of the youngest drivers in the nation. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means to you.
Yeah, it means the world to me to be able to race late models at such a young age, and all the experiences and stuff that I've gained through the race shop and on the track. It's just it's very just the progress that I've made the past couple years. I like the fact that I can just go to the race shop, hang out with my grandpa. He he's very talkative. He's got his own sense of mind where he can talk for, you know, minutes upon minutes, and it's kind of some people have their therapy sessions. It's kind of like my therapy. You
Yeah.
can just go out there, be yourself around him. He'll talk to you, and I learn something new every day out there on the racetrack. And just being able to race like this and everything, not a lot of 14-year-olds get to do that. So I'm
Oh,
very grateful for what I can, do at this age.
yeah, absolutely. Now, you started everything pretty young. You talked about starting racing go-karts or driving go-karts around the age of 4.5. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and what are some of the vehicles that you have progressed into, including the super late model?
Well, I started racing when I was 4.5, and what got me into that is I liked pretty much anything there was to do with a motor, wheels, and that could move. So I used to watch Monster Jam a lot when I was younger.
Hmm.
That stuff was pretty sick. I liked it a lot, and my grandpa seen my love, I guess, what he saw. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something. So we decided to get into go-karts, right? And he went out and bought a go-kart. That's pretty much the only reason I am where I am today. He went out with the help of my family and everything, got a go-kart. We started racing with Downing, and we started at Shemmick up in Farmington, and we met Dustin Westerkamp. He's one of the best there was back in that time period on go-karts. He taught my grandpa, taught me, taught us pretty much everything we know in go-karts, and that's what really excelled us to the next level in that aspect of that part of racing. And we ended up picking up a couple wins throughout the years racing up there, and that's that was at that point we were really trying to gain experience and maybe try and drive to the next level, but we were on a older cart kind of, and so we finally got into the newer stuff, and we raced around up here in northeast Missouri because
Hmm.
we lived back in Edina up there at that point, and we raced around local up there, won quite a bit, and then we took it up to the national level with that. So we
Hmm.
went through Maxis Racing our first weekend out, clear out in Kansas, something we've never done before, way out of state. We didn't even know if it was even if we were even gonna be top five or something. And we went out there and we swept the weekend, and that
Wow.
really set that really set the bar for what we were going to try and accomplish that year, and really got us motivated and just going forward through that season.
Hmm.
And we ended up picking up a couple more track champions and champions through Maxis, picking up the Max Daddy. I think four, three, three championships. What was it? It was, yeah, three championships through Maxis over 2 years,
Wow.
and we got invitations to nationals 2 years, which was pretty sweet. Being
Hmm.
only, I don't know what I was at that point, 9 or 10, 11. But at that point, we had talked about moving to late models for a couple years. Not late models, but just a bigger car in general.
Hmm.
And Roger Dolan used to race for Larry Eckridge, and my grandpa sponsored his car. And so we talked to Larry about it, and he was the biggest one that got us onto going straight into a late model, skipping the sport mods, B mods,
Hmm.
A mods, and street stocks and all that stuff. So we went straight to late model, and that's what really set the. He was the one that set us into the late model world, and I was 11 years old at that point, and I was racing a crate, just getting started out, getting a feel. But Scott Bryant had a track out on his property through
Hmm.
quarantine, and so quarantine shut down, so not a lot of tracks are racing. But he's got a track that we can race on, so we raced on his track quite a bit and everything. Getting a feel for the car. My first time really wasn't that great, but as I got more experience with the car and everything, about 5 times on that track, I was definitely starting to pick it up.
Hmm.
So that was good on that part. And then Reed come into the picture, got us into supers, and then that's really when we finally hit that level, we were we were really stepping it up at that point.
Yeah. Well, okay, so tell us a little bit as far as the speed progression from miles per hour. So, like go-karts, how fast were you going there compared to the crate and then into the super late? What are the speeds we're talking about there?
Well, the go karts they're small. Okay, I mean they're probably maybe 5 feet long, 6 long. But you're sitting that far off the ground. And when I was out at South Dakota racing for Maxis in Junior One, it goes Junior One, Junior Two, Three. They were put together, and then adults, which is open basically. But just Junior Ones, I think we were hitting up to like 50, 55 mile an hour
Hmm.
on those
Hmm.
just little flat carts, and you're that far off the ground.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's fast. It's
yeah.
really fast for just how little they are. So and then the crates, it's not even comparable because I mean you're moving 300 pounds
Hmm.
or not even that at that point. That was probably 250. You're moving 250 pounds versus 2,300 pounds.
Hmm.
So when you're moving that with that much horsepower, and the biggest thing with those is just how much just pushing the throttle. It just has so much torque and
Hmm.
just it excels so much faster and everything. So it's just a whole different feeling. And then you go up to supers and you do that all over again with that big engine. So it's it's you go up one step, you get used to that, then you make it up, and then you go up to another step, and it's like it just never stops.
Yeah. Well, speaking of never stop, we'll get to that in a little while because I know you have some other goals and some other things that you want to do. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your grandpa and just the huge difference that he's made in your life as far as getting you excited about racing and getting involved in all that?
Well, like I said earlier, when I was 4.5, he was the one that went out and spent the money and got a car, and he was willing to put in the dedication and the work that needed to be done to get me to where I'm at today. But he puts in the work and everything out at the race shop, countless hours, just he takes his own time, his own free time to work on a car, just, to give, to, make the pretty much what I'd like to say the best equipment we can do with our own stuff. He goes over bowls, goes over this, and he's a perfectionist. So if something's just a little off, he's got to fix it. And
Hmm.
but that's what you need when you're racing at this
Right.
level. Because I mean, just one little bolt, like up at Callaway one night, we had the steering rack come loose, and I had about 4 inches of play in my steering wheel before it actually started turning,
Hmm.
and it really does. it throws off your car quite a bit and everything. But him putting in that work and everything, for me, it's invaluable because
Hmm.
you can't get that with like most of the time you got to pay somebody to really
Right.
work, and he goes out there and puts in his love and his life and dedication. I mean, he eats, breathes, and
Yeah,
talks race car. So
that's
it's
great.
pretty neat.
So I think it's kind of neat that you go and hang out with him at the shop, and I'm sure that you are getting involved as far as seeing the intricacies of the engine and just how things work, and so you're probably involved in a lot of that, just kind of seeing how everything works, right?
It's I'm very curious, and when it comes to like interesting stuff like that, I just eat it up. But he's taught me how to use power tools and just how to actually work on them. When I go out to the shop, he teaches me. I mean, when it comes to the stuff that I do on the race car, he's taught me about it all. He
Hmm.
makes me do the body work. Okay, so I go up to Moberly and I hit the wall. Okay, knock the quarter off of it. Guess who's got to fix it? Me. He's
Yeah,
taught me
right.
how to fix it. So, I pull the quarter off, beat it out, put it back on, and you know, to me, it's a blessing because I enjoy doing that stuff. Because a lot of kids my age they like to do the video games, but to me, I like to be hands on, physical touch.
Mhm.
Just being able to sit there and try and get that dent out
Right.
with that hammer or something like that. I like it. I like it a
Yeah.
lot.
Does it serve as motivation to not hit the wall as many times too?
It sure does.
Okay, yeah. I thought
So
that might do that too.
when you fix it, when you really do it justice, and then you got to fix it all and everything, it really makes you not want to do it again.
Right. Okay, tell us a little bit about Millard Family Racing. Reed, and I mean, he's just a great man, and we just love and appreciate him and all the great things that he does right here through Mid Missouri. How has Reed and his team impacted you and your success and passion for racing?
Well, Reed come in when I was 11, towards the end of our season, and that would have been 2021. We were racing up at Moberly at that point. He came in. He he was at a summer nationals race, so that's a little bit of your higher level drivers. I was racing a crate at that point, and he come in and I was young. I didn't really know what to say, but he come in with the camera and he was asking me questions, and I was like, "We're underpowered bad because I mean, when you take 450 horsepower versus 950, it's a pretty big difference." And I said that, and he's like, "Well, we'll get you helped out." And so he offered to pay for tires and pit passes and everything for us to go down to Lake Ozark next weekend, which was another summer nationals race. So we went down there with his crew. Chris was the crew chief of his car, still is,
Mhm.
and we go down there and we're pitted together. And I really learned a lot with just watching how they work on that.
Mhm.
Those cars with us only being in it for a couple months, and then watching them just work on the car and everything, and then how those bigger drivers drove the racetrack and everything. It it helped a lot with learning. But after that, we started we started building a connection between his family and our family. And he finally, in 2022, we finally decided it was time to move down here and get established down here with racing. And he took over quite a bit of the financial side. Most of the the bigger stuff, like the 950 horsepower engine costing that much money. He
Mhm.
With him taking over a little bit of the financial side of it, and paying for the bigger parts and everything. That's really why we're here today. But him taking us under his wing and doing that for us, we really appreciate it. And
Mhm.
I don't know, we can't thank him enough. But it's not just Reed that comes in with this package. He's got BC and Signs, which is our biggest sponsor the past 2 years. He got Mike over there. Mike, nicest person you'll ever meet. If you
Mhm.
need a sign done, just go over there. They'll help you out. And I mean, they
We
knock it out of the
did.
park over
We
there.
did. When
It's
we got our sign done at the church, we got that done from BC Signs, and it looks
oh yeah,
fantastic. They did a great job.
Mike Mike is a good guy. He knocks it out of the park. He's very smart and intelligent, and them building up BC, and that's going to be a pretty big business, I feel, in the next couple of years. And then coming in with that, you got Chris. he's helped out Reed and been his crew chief for the past couple years. And Chris he's always fun to hang around. Uh, you know, he'll he'll tease at me, I'll tease at him, and he makes sure that I know, like if I hit the wall at Moberly, like get up on that cushion, scrape it a little bit. He makes sure that I remember it clear through the week.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, that part of it, be seen signs, and then also Rebecca with doing the media side of everything and getting my name out there with the publicity and everything, and also setting up this actual interview.
Yeah.
She does an amazing job at that part of
Rebecca's
everything.
awesome. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of people that are involved in getting all of this put together, and I know you're very appreciative of all that. Tell us a little bit about I, I, I mean, did you ever have any butterflies when you got started with some of these new types of racing? Did you have butterflies, or was you a little nervous, or did you just say, I'm
You
going to go in
know,
there and go at it?
butterflies. I mean, when you're sitting behind a mean engine like that in a race car like that, I mean, you're not really getting butterflies. You're getting
Right.
more of an adrenaline push with your
Yeah.
heart beating and everything. Like, I mean, there's times like, I mean, the first couple times I did qualifying, I mean, I'd get out of the car and my body just be shaking from, just the adrenaline that pumps through your body. But it's just a different feeling when you're out there on the track. I mean, realistically, if I was to tell anybody when I'm out on the track, I really don't feel anything through my body. You're just so focused in and everything. You don't feel the only thing you're feeling is, the wheel, the pedals, and what the car is doing. But you're just so focused on that as far as like your body and everything. You really don't feel anything.
Yeah. You know, Ethan Furnon, my friend, he popped on here and he said, you need to get some shirts that tell them that you know a guy. Just you know a guy. And you can have some
I
shirts.
know
That's
a guy.
a little marketing thing from Ethan there. And we're saying we know a guy. Ethan works for custom promotional branding. So he's all about the t-shirts and the hats and all that kind of stuff down there.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
That'd be
good,
pretty
good
cool.
man.
Put it together a t-shirt thing. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know a guy. Yeah.
All right. So Lindsay Jean says, hey, little cousin, you're doing great. And that's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Lindsay. Anybody else that has any questions or comments, please feel free to pop on and do that, and we'll try to make sure that we can get that included. And thanks for doing that. We do have a couple more questions before we hit a break. You're doing an outstanding job. You've talked about your grandpa. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some other members of your family and just what they mean to you?
All right, my mom, oh boy, she's something. But she's always there at the racetrack. She's missed very few and just very little races across the years that I've raced, and that means a lot to me. Her being there, able to lend a hand when we need it, and just her support through me, not only on the racing side of everything, but just being a teenager and the kid I am. The way she drives me to really chase my dreams and everything like that. She does an outstanding job on that part, and it's her being my mom, we butt heads. I mean, that's what all parents and, kids do. But that's what makes the next day even better because you can start off that day with, remembering the day before that and, you're going to make it a better day.
Yes, I know it's probably a little bit different on the racetrack where you might not be able to hear your mom screaming. I can remember.
Oh,
I can remember.
that,
Can you hear
she's not,
her?
no, she's not the screamer now. I got other parts of my family. So we got my, grandma. Okay. She's
Uh-huh.
the videographer. She'll video some of the races. Oh boy, does she get worked up on some of them. But she takes care of the merchandise part of most of, when we go to Callaway and like Moberly and stuff, she puts the shirts in the back of her van or her car. Not van, it's a car. But she'll go and she'll set up a little table out there and she'll do all my merchandise and everything selling that. She does an outstanding job on that. But she'll get to record. And I remember when I flipped my car up at Peasley first night out. I tell you what, she was she was screaming back there. She was getting a little worked up. And then we got my uncle and aunt. They do they try and get down and watch me race and support as often as they can. But they have a little dog, a little blue heeler called Ruger. We like to call him my good luck charm because he's been down to Moberly twice, and both times when he was down there, we ended up winning that night. So that's pretty cool. And
That's
then
awesome.
we got my great grandpa part of it, Willis. I remember when we were younger in go karts, we got in a wreck, bent a chassis, and my grandpa didn't really have the part of the money, like it's when you destroy a chassis like that and you have to buy a whole new one. It's quite a bit of money back then. So
Hmm.
my great grandpa ended up helping out a little bit on that part and got us a new one. And he was the one that paid for it, and that was right. That was his support there at that point to keep us going. That means a lot to me. And he helps up at Moberly. Keeping up there. He does an outstanding job up there. And then I like to say this is where I get my need for speed. My great grandma, she used to be a drag racer back then,
Oh,
and
okay.
she supposedly whips up on all the men and the women back in the olden days. So that's pretty neat. I don't know if that's where I got the speed from or not, but
Okay. Now
that's pretty
you're
fascinating.
saying olden days. We're gonna have to clarify what's olden days. How long ago? You say olden days.
I'm not really informed on that part of it, but it's
Well, you did great
like
right there.
I really don't know.
That was a great non-answer. That was good.
Was yeah,
Yeah, that's great. Well, hey, we've got a lot of people watching and commenting. We've got Ethan, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right, but Niggy, is it Niggy? Ethan Niggy or
Carnegie, yeah,
Kniggy? Okay.
Carnegie.
He says, "What's up, Caden? We got Owen Benjamin. Proud of you, buddy." Mary Jane Baldwin Kiefer. She says, "Wonderful. So proud of you, Caden." Lindsay Jean. I've been watching this boy since he could drive behind the little go karts. He's come a long way. Paige Madsen. So proud of you, Caden. It's been a blessing being able to watch you grow up and come so far. Keep it up. Very proud of you. Uh, Blake Robertson. Good job, Caden. Keep it up, man. And then Fred Ridnour. I met this young man 3 years ago. I knew he was going places. He is a great friend. That's awesome. A lot of people think a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of you, so that's cool.
I know. That I like to thank all of them. Them coming on this thing and commenting and showing their support. That means quite a bit to me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it, guys.
that's great. Well, we got one more. What are some of the accomplishment? One more before break. What are some of the accomplishments that you've had so far?
Well, if we go back into the go kart part of it, we won one national championship up at Downing. That was would have been weekly, like local aspect of it, but we ended up getting that local championship there, that track championship. Ended up getting a leather jacket for that one, and ever since I'd started racing go karts, I've always wanted a leather jacket. So we go back. That would have been the second year racing go karts, but we went on the national level, like Maxis. We won pro the first year. So pro, you get the leather jacket and you get like I don't know, you get like a points fund for that part. But if you get like they had the light, heavy, and the pro, and if you got all three, you got a triple crown. We missed it by one spot on the other two, but we ended up getting the leather jacket, and then the second year running through Maxis, we got that track championship, like I mentioned at Downing, and then we got the light and the heavy part on the championship side, missed the pro by one spot, and then we ended up winning the Max Daddy on that race. That would have been that's basically the Daytona 500 for go karts. So
Hmm.
that was a big accomplishment for us winning that show, and emotions were running high on that one. So it was awesome that weekend. This one
Very
you'll never
good.
forget. You'll carry it through your whole career. And then we get up into the late model part of it. Uh, not last year, but the year before, we ended up winning our first race up at Moberly. Emotions were running high on that one because we just we worked at it, and finally, got it done and felt like we accomplished that. We wanted to accomplish that year. We knew we wanted to get at least one. We did end up getting one, and then fast forward to this year, ended up getting four. Should have had more, but I like to make a couple mistakes here and there. So we ended up getting four this year, two at Callaway, two at Moberly, and that really that really boosted our confidence this year a lot heading into next year.
Yeah. So tell everybody real quick how many races that you had this year. I know you said there was some rainouts, but overall, how many races did you have?
We intended to race about 60 or so nights with a couple cancels here and there and some rainouts. We ended up with 47 on the year, which is pretty good. And then I've actually started getting back racing go karts with Tyler Hager a little bit. I've had 4 races with back in a go kart this year,
Hmm.
and 3 of which were local, which were weekly races, and then the one was the King of the Prairie, which is big race. So ended up fourth, I think, in that one, but that was pretty fun, racing that go kart, get back to my, starting point.
Yeah, very good. Well, we've flown through this first half of it. We had a couple more people said hi. We have Lisa Leopold. She said, "Hi, Caden, you are so awesome." Brandy Burks, so proud of you. We enjoy watching you race. So thank you everybody for commenting. Well,
Thank you.
keep doing that. We're going to take a quick break and we will be right back after this quick commercial. Uh, Caden, great job, man. Looking forward to the
Thank you,
next
Kirk.
half of this. Yeah.
CNS Business Services has been connecting employees with employers since 1977. Recently, CNS rebranded to CNS Employment Solutions to more clearly define their mission of serving the needs of applicants, employees, and businesses while remaining current and evolving with the changes in the workforce. One important thing has not changed. CNS Employment Solutions partners with a wide variety of employers, placing employees in jobs that match their skills and needs.
Say yes to CNS.
All right, CNS Employment Solutions, Paula and her team, they do a fantastic job right here in mid-Missouri, making sure that people that need jobs find them and people that are looking to fill jobs can find the proper talent to be able to make things run smoothly right here in mid-Missouri. We appreciate everything that they do. Also, Big Whiskies, they are a sponsor for us with the actual coach of the issue that we run in every issue of Sports Soccer Magazine, and they just give recognition to the different coaches that we have right here in mid Missouri, just pouring into our young student athletes, and we really appreciate them doing that sponsorship. Also, since we've got Reed Millard Racing, we are going to say that we appreciate them being a sponsor of Sports Soccer Magazine as well, and appreciate all the stuff that they do. Well, we have been talking to Kayden Clatt, and he has been doing an outstanding job, and I appreciate all of the different comments that you guys have been making tonight. Keep them up. I'll try to keep up with them the best that I can, but we're going to go ahead and get in a little bit more with Kayden and find out a few more things from him if you guys are ready for that. All right, Caden, were you able to get a little bit of a drink and get a little refreshment from that first
Actually,
half?
did. Got my water up
All
here.
right,
Got a
good.
little bit of a drink.
I needed it as well. As I told you before the program, I had a tooth pulled out the back earlier this morning and had made it a little bit tough talking here a little while ago, but now we're making it through there. So you're doing an outstanding job. A lot of people have been tuning in and making lots of comments. We absolutely love that. I want to jump right into, we're just going to jump right into the future. You said that you have a desire to one day drive in NASCAR. Tell us a little bit about that dream.
I mean, if I can make it up to that level, I'd really like, to make it up to that level. But, right now, just trying to build experience and, try and get to that level. It's, just you got to work your way up there slowly and slowly, and just climb to the top. People don't climb Mount Everest in one day.
Right.
But right now, NASCAR is recognized as the highest level in the sport. So making it where up there, the money that flows into that aspect of that
Hmm.
part, with the sponsorships and all the car owners, like Hendrick and all them. And the biggest thing with making it to NASCAR to me is how Kyle Larson does it. He races dirt. He'll go and he'll race and win here on dirt, and then turn around Sunday and race in NASCAR.
Hmm.
If I could, get to those avenues of racing and end up, making it to that aspect of it, it would.
Hmm.
I'd really like to make it to that point. But it's not just that really wants me. That really makes me want to get up there. The biggest one, I think this one outstands, the winning part of it, but with how much Kyle Larson puts back into the racing sport of it with his high limit racing and all that stuff, being able to get up, him being up in NASCAR and everything, and still putting back into the sport and everything. That's my biggest goal, is to be able to, make a change on the sport, and keep continuing through and making the next generation of drivers out there and everything. Just making sure the sport never dies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know that just through all the different people that are tuned in and making comments, we've got Owen Benjamin. He says, "I love you, Clatty." Uh, let's see, Coley Fetter says, "Keep doing great things, Kayden." So again, thank you guys for your comments. And um, so dirt track racing, that's pretty exciting. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and just the difference with dirt track compared to other tracks?
Well, the biggest difference is obviously NASCAR you're racing on asphalt, concrete, and dirt you're racing on dirt. Um, Another big thing is the technology, engineering, and the cars are completely different. A late model has rear steer, helps you get around the tight corners a little better. Your rear end, your left rear is going to be more far forward than your right.
Hmm.
NASCAR, you're just a straight plain up car. Um, but if you look at NASCAR compared to this, the technology that goes into that side of NASCAR and just the advancements they make every year, and not just that, like the aerodynamics on the cars and everything, they're completely different. I know the horsepower on NASCAR is a little bit lower than the dirt, but and also the racing is different. On
Hmm.
NASCAR, you aren't going to see a slide job, and on dirt, you aren't going to see drafting as much. Like on NASCAR, you get behind somebody and you draft. Dirt, you go into the corner and you throw a side job on somebody. But those are just some of the few differences in that aspect of it.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that when you're out there racing with other drivers, the banging around, things like that. Does that happen a lot? Does tempers kind of flare a little bit?
Well, when I first started, my grandpa and he was always on, try and race as clean as he can and just try not to, get into anybody or wreck anybody.
Hmm.
Because, with me being 11 years old, the older guys, I get in a wreck or something, it's always going to be my fault because I'm young,
Hmm.
learning in the sport. So I was that really built me up to who I am today and trying to race with people is clean because stuff's expensive nowadays, and I know we've been in the race shop every night of the week fixing a car just to get back out there next weekend, and it's not fun. It's
Right.
not fun whatsoever. So you don't want to ruin that part of it for somebody else.
Hmm. That's great. That's great advice to be able to follow. And I know that if more people would do that, then it would probably make things a lot more fun for some of those that are out there that are, understanding the same thing. All right, we got a couple more comments. We've got Katie saying, "Good job, Caden." Brandy Burks, "My daughter thinks it is awesome for you to go from go-karts to late models. She races at Hams Prairie International Speedway in a flat cart, but we will be moving her to a wing soon." That's awesome. Congratulations
That's pretty
for
cool.
her daughter. That's great. Um, why don't you tell us a little bit about where some of the tracks are that you race the most consistently, and then maybe where the furthest place is that you have gone?
Furthest places we've gone, we've been out to Nebraska. That would have been in the late model part of it. That would have been the farthest we ever traveled for a late model race, and that was Norfolk, Nebraska Off-Road Speedway. That is a really nice track, really nice facility. I really, really like that track. You know, we went out there for MLRA the first night and Friday night, ran really good, and we were battling for I believe sixth at the time, and ended up rolling a left rear tire off the wheel, and it took us out for the night. But that's probably the farthest we've traveled on that side of it. And then go kart side of traveling, the farthest we traveled there was I would say Waukene, which was really only maybe I think that was only like 30 minutes from Denver, Colorado.
Okay, so
Or
you,
no, it's longer, but not Denver, Colorado, but the Colorado line,
yeah,
I guess. The
so you've
the
been
border.
some distance. That's good. That's great. Alex Houston says, "I miss racing carts with you, Caden." So that's cool.
Karts was fun, and it's not really just the racing part of it, you know, it's a family thing.
Yeah,
You race when you're racing that community, it's all one big family, really.
yeah, great. Uh, all right, so you talked about a few of the tracks. What is the most unique track that you've raced at? And then also tell us about Wiener Nationals in Moberly and how special that event is.
The most unique track I've ever raced on would probably be Lasowski Speedway out of that would be it's hard to say where that track is. I don't really remember, but it's got banking like Daytona,
Oh, wow.
and it's a bowl. But it's not just banking in the corners; it's banked all the way around. It's
Okay.
like a fish bowl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're sitting in the car sideways, and you never stop until you go off the track. You're just sitting in there like a. But I mean, when you go into the corners, I mean, when you'd go in and drive it in, I mean, it'd cinch you down in the seat just for how much G's you'd pull getting into those high
Uh-huh.
bank corners and everything.
Yeah.
And
Do you find yourself leaning a little bit when you get out of the vehicle after that?
no, not really. I don't really get dizzy on that part of it. I don't know if it's because I've just done it or if
Yeah.
it's I don't know, but I know people that get dizzy and car sick and everything, and I couldn't imagine what I'd do if I was car sick or anything.
Probably wouldn't do that very long.
Probably not. And now Wiener Nationals, we're getting into the part that I like to talk. You know, Wiener Nationals, or I love talking about this event. It's one of a kind. If you've never been to a race or anything, that's where you need to start right there, the Wiener Nationals. It's if you haven't been to a race, you're trying to get introduced to it, but you're afraid that you're not gonna like it. He's got stuff there other than racing that will
Right.
entertain you. But there's people that have never been to a race in their life, never even really knew about racing that Reed's invited to that place, and they go home and they tell them that's the best night we've ever had, you know. So that's cool on that part of it. And there's some really tough competition when it comes to that racetrack because it's sanctioned as an MLRA race, so
Hmm.
there's some pretty nice competition in that one. You got people like Chad Simpson, them guys up there in the higher level. There's some really good competition, and I like to go by you got to race with the best to be the best or something like that.
Hmm.
That's what my mom told me back in a couple weeks ago, but it was I can't remember what she said. She says in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. I think I don't know what it is, but racing against those guys, I can hear them laughing down there. She's making fun of me. Oh gosh, I'm never gonna hear the end of this interview.
That's
They're
great.
still laughing down there. Jesus. But gosh, she's throwing me off. So back where was I? Where was I at? Winter Nationals. So that race, you have a sponsorship thing that Reed does for it. So you can have a kid that gets the draw. You get a draw thing, and if your car wins, you get money back or something. But I had a little kid with me that got picked and chosen for me, and so I put him up. I was thinking about something, so I put him up on my shoulders, and I let him do what he wanted to do. But he ended up I think it's his dad is friends with Chad Walter, and we're friends with Chad. He races with us, but it was I think it was his nephew, and he ended up saying that kid talks about it all the time, which is really cool. Being able to give him a memory, that he'll
Yeah.
remember, and hopefully, he'll grow up and maybe be a racing fan or maybe even race. I think he actually does race, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, that's
So
cool. Rebecca was saying that you have quite a few kids come up to you after races and things like that. Talk a little bit about that when these kids are coming up and just asking you questions, probably trying to get autographs, things like that. What's that all like?
yeah, it's really neat, being able for them to come up and just being able to. I mean, they kind of look up to you, and I try to answer whatever questions they have. I put a lot of them in my car and everything, try and give them the best
Hmm.
experience I can give them, so they'll come back. But I don't want to give them a bad experience and then they
Hmm.
not like racing because of it. That's not what I'm here to do for the sport. I'd like to make it bigger, So I try and do as much as I can for the kids, but when you have 30 of them or something, it's it gets a
Yeah.
bit crowded in there, but it's always fun hanging out with them and everything. And they'll come up to you, ask you for an autograph, sign their flag and everything. And
Hmm.
then when you're like, oh, you want to sit in the car, and then their smile just goes, they start grinning from ear to ear and everything.
Yeah. That's
The
awesome.
parents are getting pictures. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you said to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I just have to ask this question. Have you ever raced your grandpa or have you ever raced against Reed?
I've raced against Reed.
Uh-huh.
My grandpa, on the other hand, no. Probably get beat.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't be good. He's got some experience in the car, and
Yeah.
I remember people have told me he was pretty good back in when he raced his street stocks and everything. But yeah, Reed, he goes by that. He doesn't really go for the competitive side of it. He likes to, just sit back and, race and have fun. But
Yeah.
that's okay to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I
Absolutely.
mean, there's nights where you'll give him a good car and he'll get up on the wheel and he'll drive it, and
Mhm.
he'll drive. He does really good. But he goes there for the fun aspect of it and everything. He has a good time. We have
Mhm.
a good time. We all have a good time, and that's pretty much what it's all about. When you go out there, you try to have fun, but the biggest thing, you want to go out there and win.
Yeah.
Winning's always what you want to do, but it makes it, even if you don't win, as long as you have fun, that's a big thing too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about what kind of, I mean, do you do any kind of physical training to get yourself in the best condition for racing? Or what types of things do you do?
I've never really been into the physical side of it. I have started weight training through Southern Boone High School this year, throughout my high school, to improve my endurance and strength on that part of it. And through the winter and even through the summer, at points, and when you're not racing that much, I try and get on the simulator sometimes here and there, to keep your hand-eye coordination and everything, and just all that. Just
Hmm.
keep it up on as peak as you can, so when you go on to the next season, you're not sitting out there like a dry tree. So
Hmm.
try and keep that up a little bit on the simulator part of it, because that really does help with your hand-eye coordination quite a bit.
Hmm. So on a typical race, how many laps do you typically go, or I mean, what's the distance on a lap? How many laps do you typically go?
For weekly, to we race 15 to 20, and then on your higher level, you're racing anywhere from 30 to 50, and sometimes even 100 laps. I've never raced 100 laps before. I'd like to.
Uh-huh.
Don't get me wrong. I really like to race a 100 lap race, but we haven't got to that level yet. But I've raced 50 lappers. I've raced a 50 lapper before. Those are
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Very cool. That's yep, you got those goals out there, some things that you're going to get to try. That's going to be awesome when you get to do those. So, I think again, the most important thing you said is to have fun in doing what you're doing. Yes, you want to win. That's what you're out there for, but you got to have fun. Otherwise, it'll be a labor and you won't last very long. So, keep doing what you're doing. People are enjoying watching you, and um, I gotta ask, we gotta ask this kind of question. So, what is the fastest lap you've registered, and how big was that track?
Well, on dirt, the lap times kind of vary because you have different track. Like some tracks are 3/8, some tracks are quarter mile, and some tracks half mile, and there's some 5/8 up there. And then you got the banking and that aspects of it. Getting the run off the backstretch, that helps a little bit, or coming off that banking gives you a little extra momentum. But I have had a GoPro on my car at Moberly and some other tracks, and the fastest lap time that I've ever recorded through GoPro was at Moberly, which we reached speeds up to 110 mile per hour up
Hmm.
there.
Okay, good. So you're 14. Have you got your driver's permit yet?
No,
Okay. So see, that's
sweet.
going to be a thing. What's it gonna be like when you transition from there out onto the open road? Are you gonna? I mean, Mom, are you listening? Are you making sure he's going to be safe?
I hope she has some money laid out for insurance.
Okay. I'm sure she's going to have to, especially since the insurance agent will know what you do for, what you're wanting to
Oh
do
yeah,
for a living.
oh yeah. And one of our insurance agents or whatever, she knows I'm a racer, so she's gonna come and get insurance on that. She's gonna be cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Uh, Tell us a little bit about high school. What are some of your favorite subjects that you're studying right now at Southern Boone?
No, right now probably my favorite class in Southern Boone would probably be Ancient Civ with Curvian. She's a really chill teacher, and I really like just the learning about the you know the Romans, the Greeks,
Hmm.
all that stuff. It's kind of interesting, and learn about that Silk Road and all the projects we do in that class. It's a fun class, really fun class.
Hmm. Okay.
She also does a really good job at keeping you interested in everything. So that's another thing of it.
Yeah, that's very important. That's good. I've got one more question for you. You've done outstanding, but we want to know what are some other things that you do outside of racing?
Oh, outside of racing, I do hunting and fishing. That's the biggest thing. Uh, I like to go hunting with my grandpa. Sitting in the blind. You're out with wilderness. It's peace and quiet. So you
Hmm.
can just talk. You can talk to him, and getting to spend that time with him. And I got me a pretty decent one 3 weeks ago. First bow kill ever. That was that was really fun, really cool. He was a really nice one. But going hunting with him and then fishing, we come out and go fishing up here at Reed's a little bit.
Hmm.
And I like fishing. I'm getting back into it. I kind of haven't really been fishing the past couple years, and we went fishing recently, and it's fun, really fun. But when you go out and hunting and everything, it's just I like hunting because you're out in nature. I mean, you're looking at God's creation. It's you know, it's beautiful. I mean, you look at the timber, the sunsets, the sunrises, all that stuff, and then you get a deer that walks out, and you just get to watch them eat, and just do their things and everything. It's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, talking about looking at God's creation, your mom's also saying that she's listening and she hopes that you learn to turn right before you get your permit. So, um,
God.
that's a good one, Nikki. I like that. That was good. Um, Caden, you've done an outstanding job. I just want to say thanks for being on the program tonight. I'm looking forward to having you on again another time here sometime and just kind of see where things are and um, possibly be able to ask some, different questions, get into some different things as far as what you're doing. Any final comments that you want to make before I close out the program?
Yes, I've already had. I already know my mom. Maybe Justin's watching or not, but I know that they're thinking that I left Justin out or I forgot Justin. I did not forget Justin. I want to leave him for last because he's got a story. Okay, so Justin, all right, he lives up in Iowa, right? So
Uh-huh.
my mom's known him for quite a few years now, 6 years, and everything. So we get on go kart racing part of it, and I'm not sure if they had a crush or anything like that. I don't know about that part. I'm not into all that romance stuff with them, but I know that they had talked about getting together and dating, whatever you call that anymore, whatever they call it. I don't know what they call it. We call it dating, but
Okay.
they're older.
Yeah, we'll just
So
go with that.
they never did. They never did do it because with Justin working for Chad Waller, and he did our racing engines, there could always be some aspect. Well, they might be cheating with them. They might be giving them a better engine. So I don't know if they ever got into that aspect of it. But we go back to a couple years. This would have been right after. It would have been. It was either right after or right before we went to Florida for the summer nationals. I ended up getting informed that they were indeed together, and Justin comes down and first night staying at our place, and he cooks outstanding food. Oh Jesus, can't even talk about that. His barbecuing and smoking, that's outstanding. But now I remember that part of it. We're watching some racing that night, and you know that night was chill. But then we get later down the road when we're starting to move. So they've only been together for eight or so months, if that. And so now we're getting into moving into a house and renovating it. So we have to take all the floor out, we redo the walls. We ended up taking a whole wall out in that house, put new flooring, all that in it. And he would come down on the weekends. He'd drive 5 hours from Iowa clear here to Ashland. So him doing that, for my mom helping us out with getting the house renovated, which is pretty much expected if he's my mom's boyfriend or something like that. Anyway, so we get we get to renovating the house, and going back on pictures and videos and stuff like that, gosh, I don't know how they made it. Just, he gets pictures of him where he had a little thing with the tile, picking up the tile, scraping it off the floor and everything, and he had a look on his face like to blow the house up. But with the way they've progressed through the years and everything, and them keeping each other by their side and everything, and the biggest thing is him, taking over the role as being a dad and everything for me, and doing that part of it. It means a lot to me on him and everything. And I don't really know how to word it, but when it comes to Justin, he isn't gonna give you no crap. He's gonna tell you straight up how it is and real. So you want to go to him sometimes, but you don't want to go to him
Right.
sometimes because if you go to him this time, he's gonna give you the real answer. But this time you might not want to go because you're gonna get the real answer. So
Right.
but him keeping that part of it, he's very honest, very wise, and I like him a lot. He cooks great food. That's the biggest part. He cooks good food, really good food. You got to try some of it.
Well,
So
hey,
now we
absolutely.
fast forward
Absolutely.
down the road. He gets moved down here. He leaves. I guess not. He doesn't leave, but he does leave. He comes from Iowa, comes down here. His family's still up in Iowa. He's down here, and so now he's kind of like he's here with us, but he kind of left his family up here a little bit, so he's getting used to it. But he gets used to it and everything, and then we ended up oh geez, we ended up getting the house finished, everything. House looks really nice, and then we start getting into the being able to have some freedom now that we don't have to you know get all this stuff for the house, blah blah blah. And so they start spending more time together and everything, build that relationship, and then fast forward to the next year, we come back around to Volusia again, right? So we come back to Volusia again, go down there. Justin doesn't go. My mom comes down, I think, for a couple days. Uh, I believe that was 2022. Yep, it had been 2022. Get down there, go back, spend a whole year with them. Surprising. I don't know how they do it, but we get back around to Volusia. This is where it gets interesting, all right? So we're at Volusia, right? Racetrack. Okay, it's kind of where the racetrack is where it all started between them. Grew up racing and everything like that. I didn't know, but we end up. It's about the third-ish day, but my mom's been mad at Justin, real mad at Justin, because Valentine's Day. Okay, Justin didn't do anything for Valentine's Day with her, so she's mad at him, right? She's mad, angry. I can hear her laughing down there.
I heard
Yeah,
it too.
she's mad at him. Okay, she's mad at him. So Justin goes and gets her Starbucks coffee that she just has to have every morning. She gets it. She's just glooming around, being herself. And then we get down to the racetrack. It's end of the night. And we're getting ready to leave, right?
Mhm.
We're all supposed to take pictures. And I was confused because we never do group pictures with just everybody. I mean, we hardly ever do that. And it just caught me by surprise because I'm trying to go home just after a race. So we get into that part, and everybody's telling me to go stand next to them. I'm like, that's them. They're out there on the south side. I'm like, I'll just sit back here. So they're out there, and they're standing next to each other. And Carmen's standing next to me, which is my grandma. And I see Justin reaching in his pocket and everything. And he's like feeling around, patting it. And I'm like, what are you doing? He got a bug in his pants or something? And he ends up turning, and I hear my grandma go, "Oh Jesus! Oh no! This is no no!" And I look, and he's on a knee with a ring out, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Where does this come from?" So they ended up getting engaged there.
that's
Surprised she said
awesome.
yes.
Very-
But they get engaged. They go back. Now my mom's in the happiest mood ever. Kind of crazy how that mood changed. Get a ring on that finger, and I don't know what that's all about. And then we ended up going back to the we were staying in a beach house at that point, which was cool. And you're laughing down there again. Did you see? But oh well, we get up next morning and she's all happy as can be.
Yeah, that's good.
And then
So,
now they're getting the wedding planned out and everything, and it is great. But That's kind of the timeline between Justin. Really great guy, and I don't know. He's probably the hardest working man I've ever seen. No, not bashing anybody else, but he goes out, he works for Atkins and everything. He tells me stories about how he's sweating at 5:30 in the morning and he's already changing t-shirts, but he works his butt off for us, and I really appreciate that for him. Couldn't ask for much more than that. And
That's
then
great.
the racing side of it, he does our tires and everything. He helps here and there on the racetrack or the race shop. I mean, you know, he helped me put on a door one time. Helped me. He does the tires and stuff, and he does a really good job with the tires. But the biggest thing with him is he's willing to learn on the tire part of it, and to be able to give me best thing we can on tires and everything, which is pretty cool for him to be able to, or him to put in his time and everything like that and stuff like that. So what did my mom say? I can see her comment down there. No kidding,
No
something.
kidding. Taylor Ryan. No kidding, Taylor Ryan.
But him being able to help us out on the tire aspect of it, it takes quite a bit of stress off of my grandpa and everything like that. And then he's got connections from Iowa. Like I remember him talking to Todd Cooney when we were down at Springfield and everything, and that was pretty cool being able to talk to Todd. He's a pretty cool guy. And then Chad, who was our engine builder, them guys up there, they're really cool. Not to mention his family, Kent, which I like to call Kenny, because he's a funny guy. So he's pretty cool. I always visit with him when he's down here, and his family and his mom, she's nice, and then his brother, he's always picking on me for some reason. Don't know why, but he means a lot to me. I wanted to save him for last because I had quite a bit to talk about to him, and him, helping my mom out and everything.
Yeah,
it's really great to see him, grow up, get down here, and really put a part in our family.
yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Somebody that also says that they're proud of you here, real quick, is Terry Osmus, and that's a lot of people tuned in, and a lot of people like to see what's going on in your life and what's ahead. I know they're excited about that. Again, Kayden, thanks for joining me tonight. I'm going to have you hold on until after I close out the program. I'll visit with you after we're shut down real quick. And then thank you again. And just enjoyed having you on here tonight.
I also want to mention sponsors before you go.
Yeah.
Okay, we got
absolutely.
Wouldn't be possible without sponsors. We got a Cola Coffee Shop, Pappage Construction, Toast Construction, B Scene Signs. We also have Radaman Communications, Clyburn Tank Lines. We have Millard Family Chapels. We also have Ben Boom. He helps a little bit with goosenecks and stuff like that when we need to haul stuff, all that stuff. And then that's pretty much about it as far as sponsors. And then another thing is my grandpa. Without him, wouldn't be possible. About as much recognition as I get, he needs about just as much with how much he does for me and, the dedication he puts in. And his name is it's crazy what he does for me. I mean, going out countless hours at the shop, just the amount of dedication he puts into the racing. I mean, it's crazy. And I'll lead it up.
Yeah, that's great.
Till he slows down a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh.
That's good. He's keeping active. So that's, and I know he's loving doing what he's doing with you. So very good. Again, outstanding job. Hold on for me after the program here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and close this out real quick, and great job.
Thank you, Kurt.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching the program tonight. We'll get one more in here real quick. Jill Bishop said, Grandpa is your biggest fan. So absolutely. Thank you, guys. Outstanding program with Kayden Clatt. Thank you guys for jumping in and making all the different comments. Feel free to share this with your friends, and other people can see the great interview that Kayden had with us tonight. All right. This is your host, Kirk DeMars, with One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. Thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.